Stephanie Milky here, aka KetoMOM, or often called mom, sis, Steffi, daughter, wife, aunt, and friend. Just like many of you, I carry a lot of titles. My favorite title is mom. I should probably say wife, which takes a lot of my time. But let's be honest, if you want to do something and do it well, you will make the time for it. Commitment is hard because we find ourselves overcommitted, but when you practice prioritizing, you will find out what is actually important and what you can let go. With the KetoMOM podcast, you will learn together how to manage our time, commit to the most important things in life, and I will equip you with the tools you need to feel qualified each step of the way. My name is Stephanie Milky, and welcome to the KetoMOM Secrets podcast. Hey everybody, welcome to the KetoMOM page. My name is Stephanie, and we are diving into the 5-second rule book. So tell me, where are you tuning in from? Good morning. I'm tuning in from, I'm actually hiding in my bedroom in the Airbnb that we are renting in Florida. And so we are in Florida. We love it. And today is a beach day. It is going to be a super fun day. Tell me where you're tuning in from. How was your weekend? So we're diving into the book we're continuing the book called The 5-Second Rule. And so today the topic is, you'll never feel like it. And so if you have no idea what this book is about, or you're brand new, if you're brand new to the page, I would love for you to post a new below and get to know you. The point of going through books in the morning is to help you with your mindset, it's to help you with your mindset. I love it. Hi, Ann, coming in from Iowa. Ann, I live in Minnesota, so we're just visiting Florida. Good morning, Tammy. Good morning, everybody. I love it. So in the mornings, I like to either go through a book or talk about something that I have learned over the years. I am 40. I have plenty of gray hair, so I like to tell people that I'm quite wise if you look at the top of my head. It is very biblical. Gray hair is a crown of glory and wisdom. That's what I tell myself. Now, here's what I want you to know. If you're brand new, you can always go to KetoMomSecrets.com. Good morning, Ruth. Good morning, Brenda. You can go to KetoMomSecrets.com, click on book club, and then we actually share all the live videos of all the books that we've done. So all of the ones that I've already talked about, the 5-second rule, will be there. So KetoMomSecrets.com, click on book club, and you can go watch the past lives. Or just know this book is to help you take action and not just listen. I mean, because the amount of books and podcasts and live videos and things on social media that you get to learn from is unbelievable. It is a blessing. And yet, if you don't learn how to take what you know, if you haven't learned how to take all of the things that you've learned and actually put it into action, then it does you no good. So this book is how to rocket ship you either out of bed, into the gym, away from the donut. It's a 5-second concept, a 5-second rule for you to go, before my mind starts telling me not to do this or talk me out of this or tells me no, or fear starts creeping in, I'm going to use 5 seconds to take action. That's the point of this book. Yes, Marty, I love it too. So here is the concept of today's chapter. Again, you can go to KetoMomSecrets.com and you can go ahead and look at all the last ones. But we're diving in and we're on chapter 7. And you guys, I listened to an unbelievably good podcast. I'm going to tell you about it in a second because it lines up with what she says here. And then I'm actually going to do a live more in depth about the podcast. I'm thinking about it. I'm pondering on it, not take action on it, but it was so good. And so anyways, all right. Here's the author tells a ton of stories. I'm not going to tell those stories to you, but here's basically what this chapter is about. She goes this: if you've ever wondered why it's so hard to make yourself do things that you know will solve a problem and improve your life, the answer is simple. It's your feelings. None of us realize it, but we make almost every single decision, not with logic, not with our hearts, not based on our goals or our dreams, but with our feelings. So she's going to talk about how do we get past that. So she was explaining about a lady who was an incredible speaker. She was going after a job. She was going to present something in her company. And what happened is her feelings got in control of her. She struggled with speaking, not because she was a bad speaker, because her mind started self-doubting and she didn't want to do it. She talked herself out of it, although she was great at it. And so she dives into this and she goes, our feelings decide 95% of our time. You feel before you think. You feel before you act. And so if you do that, that ultimately, our feelings make up our decisions, and our feelings should not control our decisions. Part of on the KetoMOM pages, I talk about how I don't want you to base your food on how you're feeling. Most of the time, people are overeating, and they're overeating because they're bored, they're sad, they're lonely, they're angry, and so their feelings gravitate them towards food, which brings them comfort. And so once you can get a hold and awareness of how I'm feeling, why I'm feeling it, I think I talked about this last night. It's not that you can't have feelings. And in fact, the podcast that I listened to, I have 4 pages of notes, and he talked about self-mastery. And I really want to dive into that, just that one topic from what he talked about, but I'm going to share the podcast when I'm done. I'll share it in my stories. But he talked about this. He says, your emotions, he goes, you have the right to your emotions. There's things in your life that are going to make you sad or frustrated or angry. But I loved how he said this. He goes, here's a principle. He goes, your emotions don't give you the right to act. Just because you feel something doesn't mean you need to act upon it. And she says the same thing. She's like, if you let your feelings control your life, basically good luck. Like if your feelings are going to control your actions or non-actions, you're going to miss things in life, or you're going to take the wrong action based on your feeling. So he's like, I don't want you not to feel. I want you to have an awareness of, well, I'm sad, or I eat because I'm lonely, or I'm angry, or I'm frustrated, or I'm emotional. Why am I feeling that way? And then we've got to get ourselves out of that to actually take the action that needs to be done. And so he talks about mastering your inner self. I'm not going to give you all of what he said, but man, I'm going to have you, some of you won't listen to it, and I'm going to put it into my own verbiage. So I am going to talk about this podcast, but I'll get to it. Oh, it was so good. I'll get to that. But I loved what he said. Your feelings can't master your inner self. You can't. Or your feelings have caused you to get to where you are today. Oftentimes people will message me and they'll go, I can't help it. I eat because I'm emotional, or I'm sad, or I eat because it's my time of the month. Ladies, I get it. I get it. Hey, Lynn, I'll share the podcast. It was actually called, it's a Battle Ready podcast. It's by one of my favorite pastors. His name is Erwin McManus. He wrote one of my favorite books called The Last Arrow. Erwin McManus. I'll share it. So he does this podcast. Now I'm going to preface it this way. He does this podcast with his son, and it's called Battle Ready. And they've done it for 7 years, and he's going to change it. It's a great podcast. There's some, like you listen to some people, and I'm sure you listen to me, and some things you resonate with and some things you don't. I value Erwin's thoughts, his theology, how he speaks, unbelievable genius. And then he has his son, who is in his 30s, and he has such a different perspective on life. And so it's so fun to watch his son question his dad. But I'm telling you, Erwin McManus is a genius, and I resonate so much with how he speaks, how he looks at life. I mean, I listen to him and I'm like, that's exactly what I believe. It's how I think. I'm not saying I'm a genius. I'm saying I value his opinion. And sometimes I listen to his son and I'm like this. And he handles it so well as a dad-son relationship. I'm just saying all of that because I don't want you to listen to some things and be like, because sometimes they just go off into space. And so this specific podcast, I will tag in my stories. It's 100% worth listening to, because if you don't master your inner, he called it your self-mastery, which some of you might be like, well, that's selfish. Or there's so many different viewpoints. Even when I'm talking on here, there's some things that I want to share more than others. Self-mastery, depending on if you're a believer or you're not, would make you feel a different way. And I love how he talks about it. That's not what I was going to talk about today, but 100%. If you have been challenged in your life, and all I'm going to say is, let's just say with weight loss, and you don't have mastery over your emotions, or you don't even have self-mastery over yourself, not in a selfish way, that is something that we need to talk about, because you don't just create new habits with understanding how your brain works and your body works and your inner self. Does this make sense? Oh, I feel like I'm just like babbling to myself. All right, so she says this. Here's an example. When you ask yourself the question, what do I want to eat? You are actually asking yourself, what do I feel like eating? Similarly, when you say, should I get up? Subconsciously, you're saying, do I feel like getting up? Right? Do I want to walk over here? Do I want to do this? You're saying, do I feel like doing all of these things? And so she goes, here's a huge difference. And then okay, hold on. Logically, we know what we should do, but our feelings are about doing, our feelings about doing it makes our desires for us. Does this make sense? Man, it's so powerful. So the last thing I was going to read is this. Here's how feelings keep you from changing. When you stop to consider how you feel, you stop moving towards a goal. Once you hesitate, then you'll start thinking about what you need to do. You'll weigh the pros and cons. You'll consider how you feel about what you need to do. And then you'll ask yourself, you're based on your feelings, right? So she goes, I've seen it before, and I'll say it again. You aren't battling your ability to stick to a diet or execute a new job plan or repair a broken marriage or rebuild a life or hit your sales goals or win over a bad manager. You are battling your feelings about doing it. And the more that you're capable of doing the work to change anything for the better, despite how you feel. You can't control how you feel, but you can always control how you act. And that's what this podcast said. He goes, I want you to acknowledge how you feel. I'm going to say this, what he said again. He goes, your emotions don't give you the right to take action. Just because you feel something doesn't mean you need to act on it. Just because you feel like eating the donut or you feel sad, like one of the biggest things, there's two things I truly feel like people struggle with their weight, or they're overweight, or they are where they are today. And it's two things. It's the simple concept of overeating. Most people overeat, and even overeat good food, because we love to be social, and we have food is at our beck and call. It's all around us for the most part. So in that, we use it as a reward or fun social outings. And the amount of food that we eat, it's just is. People overeat good food. So you've got the concept of people overeat, and they even overeat good food because it's labeled keto, so therefore I can eat it. Or on the opposite end, they let their emotions run their day. So they're sad, they're bored, they're emotional, and they gravitate towards food. Those two things, when you have now an awareness of it, and then you go, I need to have self-mastery over just having an awareness of, I don't need to eat because I'm not hungry. When you actually understand your body and you're listening and you're going, yeah, I'm not hungry, I'm just bored. And then you go over here and you go, oh shoot, just because I'm bored or I'm sad or I'm angry or I'm happy or I want to celebrate doesn't mean you have to gravitate towards food. And you can take this concept or this idea into anything: relationships, finances, your fitness, marriage, your work, right? Your feelings don't need to control your actions. That's why she said 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you know you need to do something, before you talk yourself out of it, before you have self-doubt, before your mind goes crazy, get up and do it. Get out of bed. Don't hit the snooze. Go past the drive-through. Go do the workout. Make the phone call. Apologize. Put the donut away. Put the donuts down at the grocery store. Like it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to do it. So that's it. She went down the route of feelings, and I thought it was super great. She shares so many stories. This book is really great. Next, we'll go through how to start using the rule. So we'll start that tomorrow. Hey, does anybody have any questions? I would love to answer those. And okay, this is really great, Lynn. So Lynn says, I struggle with dessert after meals because I grew up doing so. I did too, Lynn. So for example, I grew up, and every time we ate a meal, we had dessert. And I grew up being a wife that every time I made a meal, I made a dessert. And I legitimately made up my mind years ago. And I said, just because we eat a meal doesn't mean I need dessert. I don't. I don't have to make it. I don't have to buy it. I would say you are 100% in control of the groceries that you buy. So there's things that we don't bring in our home. There's things that I said, I'm not going to make brownies or chocolate chip cookies. I'm not going to have them in my home. But if I go to grandma's or a party and I want to enjoy a chocolate chip cookie, I will have one, because I'm not going to be rude and eat the whole pan. If the whole pan was in my home, I would eat the whole pan. So there are things you've just got to set boundaries on and go, I'm not going to. Or maybe I choose to have dessert on the weekend. I'm going to do really great Monday through Friday. And I'm going to choose, like, yeah, I'm not going to deprive myself, because that's when most people quit or they get frustrated. But on like we told our girls, we said, hey, we travel a ton. There's no need for desserts every night or even traveling, because they'll be like, it's a vacation. I'm like, not really. And so I'll say, hey, Saturdays or Sunday are our fun days. Like if we're going to get a dessert or a treat, we're going to do it on that day. And so, because it's important to set boundaries, it's important to go, I am going to have some things. I'm not going to deprive myself. That's where most people are today, is because they did and they quit. But I'm going to be in control. I'm not going to let my emotions or my old habits be in control. So it is so loud out there. They're making some fruit smoothies for breakfast for the girls and some eggs. So here's the book that we're going through. They're wild. My sister is here too. And if you know my sister, she's staying with us and my niece. They are wild. My whole family is wild. Wild in a good way, like loud, boisterous, fun. It's fun. So this is the book that we're going through. As always, continue to tune in. Your presence matters. Thanks for asking questions. You guys, any question that you ask below, I will send you a message, or send me a message, and I'd love to talk to you. So here on the page, if you want recipes, if you're brand new and need a foods list, post food below. If you've already got it, it hasn't changed. Basic foods list of how I started. You can always go to KetoMOMsecrets.com. And just like Lynn said, so I drink my ketones. I drink ketones sometimes at night to help with cravings. Sometimes if I'm really needing something sweet, I will brush my teeth. I will eat a pickle. It takes it away. Or I'll drink ketones or a protein shake. So all of those help. I'm drinking my ketones right now. Actually, I have a ton of people doing the reboot. So for those of you who are doing the reboot, send me a message, stay focused. You're not eating for 60 hours, but you are taking control of your body, your mindset. You're not letting food control you. You are going to be in control. So for those of you who are rebooting, send me a message. I'm not rebooting. I'm intermittent fasting I'll reboot when I get home from, I don't like to say vacation, because we basically can take our family and we just go and do school and go and do life in different areas. So oftentimes people are like, you travel a ton. I'm like, we work from home and we homeschool. So we can take our life and just move it in a different place and still do the same thing. Anyways, Lynn's rebooting. Lynn, I'm here to help you. Drink plenty of water. It's mindset. Message me with questions. I have a ton of people who are newly starting intermittent fasting. And so it's mindset, right? It's like, I'm intermittent fasting. I'm going to eat during a certain specific window. I'm going to eat when I'm hungry, not when I'm bored. I'm going to choose the best meals possible. I'm not going to mess up good for perfect. You can go to KetoMomSecrets.com, click on book club, how to get started, recipes, trial packs. Yes, these get mailed out every day, even when I'm not at home, because my mother-in-law mails them out. So I answered a ton of questions, even on Mother's Day. I've got tons of trial packs going out. You can post trial in the comments if you need a reboot, if you need help with understanding what ketones are, if you need a helper. Lynn's like, yeah, me. Lynn's like, I'm doing that. Me too. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Message me with questions. I hope you guys have an incredible Monday. It is going to be a great Monday. Why? Because you're choosing for it to be a great Monday. Oh my goodness, there's one more thing I actually wanted to read to you, but I don't know if I could actually find it without not reading all of my notes. No, I'll read it to you later. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you very soon. Bye.